Well, why is it hard to catch and punish those behind Ponzi scheme? Is it that SEC is not well equipped or has the capacity, to catch those and punish those behind these Ponzi schemes?
Well, first, just to thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to educate Nigerians. SEC is capable, has the capacity, has the know-how, and of course, will be able to deal with anyone caught in this mess. This is not the first Ponzi scheme in Nigeria, like you are aware. We have dealt with others, and we'll deal with every other one that comes through. But fortunately for us, dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was proactive enough to sign the ISA 2025 into law as fast as it was passed. And ISA 2025 is a game changer. It speaks to issues around Ponzi scheme. Never had there been a law that strictly defines Ponzi scheme and the sanctions to be meted to those involved in Ponzi scheme. The ISA 2025 speaks to that specifically, saying, first, you have a 20 million naira fine. Second, you have a 10-year jail term. There has never been any sanction as strict as that for Ponzi schemes in Nigeria. So we will do all that we need to do to catch them, because you can only catch them when you have the information. Up till this point, like I said, CBEX is not registered with the SEC, was not registered with the SEC. And of course, Nigerians were aware, those that got invested in it are aware that this is an unregistered scheme, apparently. However, it is important that we continue to educate them because they were deceived into it. And that is why we say, if you want to do an investment, you want to make an investment in any institution, please check out with the SEC. Because the SEC has the responsibility under the ISA to regulate investments and securities business. And so, we do not take that for granted. Our responsibility and our twin objective is investor protection and market development. As much as possible, once it is not good to be true, it certainly is not true.
Well,
okay. Let's look at it this way. At what point did SEC get to know that this particular case, CBEX, was not registered?
Because
you knew that long before it collapsed?
No, we just knew just a fortnight ago. That
just before you respond to that, the thought is, what are we doing with the intelligence? Are there no intelligence that will give us information that these people are right there swindling Nigerians?
Okay, so when you speak about intelligence, you can't cover everything, because Nigeria is a huge country. A lot of people do a lot of stuff. And if you become overbearing, it's the same people that will say, why are you being overbearing? But as much as possible, we will do everything within our powers and within the ambits of the law to deal with any situation that we have found. I give you an example. I, as the Director General of the SEC, I have seen some billboards all over Abuja and even in Lagos. And when I see them, the first thing I check, is this registered? Because for those ones especially that promise very terrible, I call them terrible returns, which are not feasible, those are clear cases of Ponzi. So when we see such, it is our responsibility as Nigerians to get to the SEC. The SEC, look, this is what we are saying. What do you think? And the SEC will swing into action. So in those instances, we took their pictures of the billboards and we went after them and we closed them down.
Well, with this new law that you say has been put in place, does it give it enough teeth, to SEC to bite? Because we see this Ponzi scheme, they go into full, full profit. And then when a lot of Nigerians have invested their money, they crash, they lose that money, they don't even have hopes of recovering that money. And you say that, the SEC is well equipped, to clamp down on these people, but we have not seen anybody being punished yet. There is a 20-year jail term. There's a 10-year...
It's a 10-year jail term, 20 million.
Yeah, none of this, we have not seen any of this being enforced, and Nigerians keep losing money to these schemes.
Yes, so please be informed. The ISA 2025 was signed into law on the 25th of March, 2025. Prior to this time, we had the ISA 2007. The ISA 2007 was a little bit loose. It didn't have all of these sanctions. So we now have that. And of course, we are dealing with it. The CBEX issue is very, very important to us. It's very close to our heart because we are empathic as an institution. The president is empathic. He has given us the mandate to deal with this issue. So it is our responsibility to work hard to make sure that these issues are dealt with. And that's why we have gone into investigation. The information that we already have are very, very revealing, but there are not things I can, speak to, in a public process like this. But clearly, we are getting there, and we will get there, because we now have the powers to be able to deal with the situation.
Now, good enough, you said you're going to get there to deal with the situation. Outside even this, outside the SEC, we also had some other financial regulators like the EFCC that could prosecute under the fraud, prosecute under their own act.
Yeah.
We also had the Section 419 of the Criminal Code that you could prosecute. Now, why is it, not just talking about SEC, other agencies of government, why have we allowed these people to go to rip off Nigerians? And until they crashed, MMM crashed before we came to the public. This one crashed before the stepping in of agencies of government. Why do we have to wait until this time? Why we had all these laws in place?
Okay, so it's important to understand that we, as government agencies, are also governed by law. And there are certain things you can just not do. For you to prosecute anybody, you need evidence. For you to prosecute anybody, you need the guidance, in fact, you need complaints from people. You need to be able to identify those issues. So the EFCC, the SEC, and other regulators are doing what they need to do to be able to deal with these situations. Like I said, as we speak today, this is the 18th day of April 2025. The SEC had not had any complaint before now regarding somebody investing in CBEX. People make choices. Sometimes the choices are wrong. And because they refuse to listen to the advice of the SEC. Prior to this time, one of the first things that the SEC will always do is to advise people. If you go to our website, we have a video on our website speaking to Ponzi schemes. We've also issued statements severally to tell people, please do not invest in schemes that appear to be too good. Because it doesn't make sense if somebody tells you that I'm going to make give you a 100% return on an investment for 30 days. However, we must all know that Ponzi schemes didn't start today. Ponzi schemes started on the 20th century by a man called Charles Ponzi. He's an Italian who migrated to America. And what does he promise? He promised 50% return on investment. And it was seen as being terrible. And that is how, Ponzi scheme became popular. Beyond all of that, Ponzi scheme is not only for the supposedly poor persons. Bernie Madoff of America, he was a high socialite in America. And he duped his own people from affinity situations. Right? Sarah also did that for women. So Ponzi scheme is a global issue. What we are saying is that as investors, as Nigerians, we must be more careful. We must be more circumspect. We must ask questions. If you have any investment, if anybody brings an investment to you, you have a responsibility to ask the person, are you registered with the SEC? Let them show you a certificate of registration. Besides, the SEC website is working. And we'll always give those addresses to say, look, check the SEC website. If you are in doubt, if you don't even find it, call the SEC. We have people on standby, ready to listen to you. Our business is Nigeria's business. And as such, it is important that we work with Nigerians to make sure we deal with these menace.